Give yourselves a round of applause for being present today at the Bold is the New Normal Conference. It's such an honor. My name is Busie Matsiko-Andan. I'm honored to be in Accra, Ghana for Bold is the New Normal Conference. I would like to thank you, Lucy, for the invitation. I would like to thank you all for showing up and being present. And I would also like to thank the people online for participating. Don't take that for granted. Just like our brother said, this is the day that the Lord has made. I am so happy to be here. I'm half Ugandan, half South African. I grew up in Zambia as well. And I'm married to Ghanaian. And I have three Ghanaian Pekins. So for me, Accra is home. I love being in Ghana, you know. So I would just like to, when we're talking about the diaspora and the partnerships with Africa, from when I was a child, I've always had a Pan-Africanist mentality. I've always been proud of my continent. I was always that child who had a different name. Living in Zambia, was called Busie, which means peace. Your name is different. Go to America, you might, if you use that name, you might not get a job interview. Then I say, I don't want to be employed by that person who doesn't want to hire me based on my name. So we have, sit down. Sorry, I'm so sorry, you know. But I am so happy that you are all here and participating. I just want to tell you that we have to be proud of being African. We have to continue to be proud of being business people. We excel in different industries, and we have to continue. We shouldn't hear what people say about us, but what do we believe about ourselves? And mindset shift is important, not what people tell us of who we are. We have been at the forefront of many things since historical times. If you think about Timbuktu, who built that? Africans. If you think about creating of paper, who did that? Africans. Even all these technologies we're talking about, even COVID, some of those testings, they were created by Africans. So for me today, it's a rally cry to talk about the diaspora and Africa uniting. And when I talk about the diaspora, I'm referring to also the Ghanaians, Africans who have moved to the West and that kind of thing and are involved there. They are considered diaspora in that context. So how do we come together? I, for one, I went to school I went to college in the US, and I like what Na Ashokor talked about volunteerism, about service. That's how I got my break. Unfortunately, my dad passed away just before my graduation walk. Imagine that, how daunting that is. I had mapped out my life. I was going to go back to Uganda, go to Citibank. I'd planned out my internship, everything, and then life threw a curveball at me. But guess what? During that moment, I remember my internships, I would go and volunteer for people. Sometimes you were even broke, but guess what? It's in those rooms that you would meet mentors, you would meet sponsors, you would meet people who you would never be able to meet in normal rooms. Like, for instance, this time that you're here the time you're spending here today is not by accident. It's an opportunity to unlock their greatness. You might talk to somebody who you would never meet because apparently, they've gone to certain schools. They've gone to Harvard, they've gone to Oxford, and they only hire Oxford or Yale graduates. But here, they learn to meet you as you, and you have similar interests. That's the key about volunteerism. And I caution parents as well as people who keep saying, what are they paying you? That attitude of, are they paying you? Oh, are they paying you? Are you being used? We should also think about, why are we always thinking we are being exploited? We should change that attitude because that blocks our opportunities. Sometimes, I'll tell you one thing. I got out of college during a hiring freeze. I had interned with Smith Barney, then there were no jobs. But I used to greet the receptionist. The receptionist now connected me to the administrator. The administrator said, oh, do you know, would you be open to working with Citibank? Smith Money was the brokerage division of Citigroup. I said, I'm open. She asked, then after that, they put me in charge with the head of HR for the entire Citigroup. She's like, we have 3 locations that are hiring. Which one would you want to work at? I looked at one which was at 399 Park. It was fancy, but I was more interested in the one that was in Harlem. They hired me at a manager level. I wanted to understand banking in the inner city because I felt those similarities with what happens in Africa. And after that, I even left banking and I ended up working in an economic development corporation. But back to the time when my father died suddenly, that was just before I graduated. So I found myself founding a company, which was one of the first blogs, and fashion blogs. I don't have a fashion background. I have a business background. But it was from a networking group that someone came to something that I organized called Global Wednesdays because a friend of mine who graduated, who I went to elementary school with, could not get a job at the UN just because she didn't know the right people, and even if she was the top in her class. That thing pained me. It made me say, you know what, let me start Global Wednesdays. I asked a friend to host it. They said, sure. My business partner to be came. I said, oh, let's do a fashion show here. I'm like, I have no experience doing fashion shows. I said, don't worry, we'll show you how to do it. Then I incorporated the company. That became one of the first fashion technology companies, and it was acquired twice. And as a result of that, we started also doing various campaigns. We were strapped for cash. But you know what we did? We would go to non-profits. That was around 2005, 2006. We went Action Against Hunger. How about we do an event for you? I mean, we do something for you. I come up with a concept. What concept? Finding 10 celebrity chefs and 10 fashion designers and partner them together to create a one-of-a-kind chef jacket, which would be auctioned for charity. In return, put us on all your press releases, put us on all your PR stuff, and that's how we bartered services. So sometimes it's not the cash that you get. Social capital is also more powerful than the cash, $1,000 that someone would give you. The mentorship, the sponsorship. I don't know whether you know the difference between mentorship and sponsorship. Does someone want to give a try about that? You seem like you would be able to tell the difference between mentorship and sponsorship.
I think a mentor
yes.
is someone who advises you.
Yes.
And a sponsor is someone who paves the way.
Someone who can speak in rooms that you might not be in, and the mentor could even be your age mates. Absolutely. So those are things that I'm telling you right now when I talk about partnerships with Africa and the diaspora. We understand each other. We have similarities. But sometimes the way these things are brokered, unfortunate. Sometimes people on the continent have felt that when diasporans, returnees come here, they tell people what to do. I've been to here, and this is how things are done in America. This is how things are done in the US, in London. But instead of trying to understand the land that you're in, what the needs are. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just small innovations can make a difference and amplify that. But it comes down to also something, how we tell our stories. Our storytelling is critical. That is, we should be proud of who we are as people, as Ghanaians, as Africans, and unapologetic about that. Sometimes we give opportunities we don't give a chance to people who are coming, who want to maybe sort out a problem, because we create a mental block in our mind, automatically think someone is going to exploit you, and you expect cash sometimes, because even these people might not even have the cash. You might have more capital around you. And let me tell you something, the solution is with us. We are the solution. And we should, and I would say the same thing for government. Sometimes we look to government for our solutions. And we get frustrated, or organizations. And when we don't get those solutions, we get frustrated. Yet you could do one small thing, and that could be what could change the trajectory of your life or others. The most important thing is being of value and creating impact in whatever way, whether small way that you can. And thinking about partnerships, collaborations with one another. Because I believe when we build and strengthen our ecosystems, we are powerful. A strong ecosystem. For instance, you see Hillary is good at PR. Go and patronize her business. We know that, let's pour into her. Lucy's Bold New Normal is good at A, B, C, D. That person, she's good at this. Let's identify who in our area. We can't be jack of all trades at everything, but we also have to support our businesses. That's how the Jewish people have been doing it. That's how the Indians have been doing it. That's how the Asians, the Koreans, whoever have been doing it. Why can't we adopt the same thing? Buy African, amplify. Just recently, I participated in the US-Africa Business Week. The beauty about the US-Africa Business Week, it was founded by the US-Africa Business Expo. What was that about? How about we create value for our African products, right? Because, yes, we've always known Africa is resourceful. We've always known that there are opportunities here. But where do we fail in the supply chain or in the opportunity, in taking advantage of what we have access to? The thing is, we have to begin to stop operating in silos. Speak to each other, find out what we can do to strengthen us together. So with the US-Africa Business Week, as a result of some companies coming, I know Nigeria has been talked about here. They've been very heavy, like even sending a trade delegation. Also, some of their companies were coming there, and then they were selling their stuff, participating. But now I'm also sharing this information, because the information is out there. We just need to share this information. As a result, the New York City mayor was like, oh, they made a proclamation to recognize US-Africa Business Week annually during the UN General Assembly. As a result, also there will be an incubator at the US Navy Yard in Brooklyn, New York, where they will encourage African products, African business owners to set up shop there as they improve the processes so that they are able to export into these markets. Because if your market is small here, you can end up expanding, right? Absolutely. But that's where the diaspora and the people still in our countries need to have these discussions and see what we can do to synergize and talk about bridging those gaps and amplifying those opportunities. Because we've known we are brilliant, we've known we are smart, but we need to be intentional and deliberate about how we work together. And I mean, I'm glad that it's really happening right now, because when you think about it, especially after COVID, technology in Africa was a beginning, in the West was an innovation. We've seen more companies, more unicorns out of the continent than ever before. Unicorns, companies that are valued at $1 billion. I mean, look at all the policies everywhere. It's like there's a new scramble happening with regards to Africa. Guys, we have to open our eyes and also begin to work together and take advantage of these opportunities, being prepared and taking advantage of the opportunities that we have access to. Like, for instance, I don't know whether you're aware with the Afrexim Bank, the African Import-Export Bank, they have a $1 billion creative fund. So working together with finding out where these resources are and how you can be ready to tap into these resources. Finding out people who can help you navigate the systems and the processes so that you're in the right place at the right time and you scale. So for me, it's just a rallying call to say, you know what? Be proud of our continent. Continue to know you are enough. And that bold is a new normal. Be bold to grab what's yours. Thank you, Ghana.
Thank you.